2017, Rwanda, Nigeria, and Colombia came on board. 2018, India came on board. 2019, so far, what I know is Ghana is coming on board. And also last year, Uganda came on board. So basically, the team is still going round and round, spreading the message of design thinking to different countries. And each country seems to be getting an opportunity to have 2 impact weeks. But up to now, there's something so unique. The Impact Week Global team keeps on echoing this to me and mentioning to me that African Nazarene University is very unique. That is the only country that since inception of Impact Week, we have managed to maintain Impact Week annually. So Kenya features in all the Impact Week Global that they have, Kenya will always feature because we maintain it. So even as we speak now, as we run this event right now, the Impact Week Global is aware that we are running it, and as they make documentations for Impact Weeks across the board, we are always part of it. I think that is worth clapping for African Nazarene for maintaining the spirit. If you just want to realize how strong the Impact Week is global, last year, sometimes in July, the German government recognized the Impact Week as one of the best places to be on the land in 2018. So there's a foundation there called German Land of Ideas. So it recognized Impact Week as one critical element that had really changed the lives of people across the world. And that was now Michael Hubel, the founder, who was receiving an award from the German president. And we have Jens Anker, who works with the Lufthansa Airlines. I don't know exactly what his role is. I think he's a business change manager, something close to that. And they are the key people who really want to see the Impact Week keep on growing. So where we are right now, it's a major point that we need to realize that the power of design, the power of innovation lies in design thinking. For the last 2 days, we have been in this room, Monday and Tuesday, preparing some coaches who are going to work with us in these 3 days as we guide them to ensure that you are trained well and we have some product coming out of you. So ideally, every year, we always celebrate that there is a number of new coaches that have been trained, and there is a number of ideas that come up of the 3-day training. I think it's worth recognizing the new coaches that were trained for the last 3 days. Just lift up your hand, or you could stand just briefly, just to show that you are ready and moving forward. I think part of them are ANU alumni, thank you. Part of them are ANU alumni, and I think somebody else is not in today, totally from the corporate world who joined in just to see, to get the skill of design thinking. And of course, we have our own coaches who have always been there on design thinking. Some were trained last year, others were trained sometimes back when we started the whole idea. Let's just rise up so that everybody is able to realize who is in the house. So majority of them are staff members. Damaris, you should be up too. So you're part of the team. So let's clap for this team. Thank you. And in the midst, we have also a gentleman who was trained here during the first Impact Week 2015 and 2016. He has really been so instrumental in helping the people of Kibera. So far, he has organized 2 design thinking events in Kibera, and I've been in those events just trying to help community as part of community building. That is Caleb Aringa, the one who was giving us a warm-up. Let's clap for him. So at this point here, it's worth giving the Vice Chancellor the opportunity to officially open our Impact Week, which of course, as I said, started on Monday, but with just a minor training. but officially we launch it today as we look forward to the ideas and the products that will come in after this. So, welcome, Vice Chancellor.
Good morning. Let me just get my bearings correctly. Are there people here who are not ANU? Yeah, I'll use this in a minute. Are there people here who are not ANU? So we all ANU. If you have ever been to ANU before today and you are returning today, you are part of ANU. So once you've been here once, you're part of the furniture. But welcome to this Impact Weekend. Welcome to those who are not usual within the walls of ANU at this time of the day. And welcome to my people and other people that are supporting them. It's good to be here this morning to talk about something that is important. How we bring creativity to make the human effort a little bit better. I was listening to somebody the other day and they were saying, when you come to think of it, this thing that we talking about as technology, as fourth industrial revolution skills that we must all find somewhere. He says when you come to think of it, it's actually something that has always been part of the human endeavor. That from time to time, human beings must find new tools to supplement their limitations so that they can get into higher and better and new spaces, as it were. Think about what we talk about today is the Wild West. Usually, connotation is that it is something to do with the US. Think about the people that we often talk about as the pioneers. Those of you who have been to the US or watch a lot of movies, you would have seen some of the places that the pioneers would traverse. They would look over the mountains and they would think maybe there's something better beyond there. But how do you get to know that there is something better beyond there? So they would look at the mountain, study the patterns of the mountain, and decide one day, maybe we can go over this mountain. So they would usually get together a team of people, some that are good with riding horses, some that are good with driving the wagons, and those that are good with cooking and all other things. And they would begin to make these journeys across the mountains. Sometimes they would make it, sometimes they wouldn't. But when you look at it, what was critical for them to be able to cross the mountain was for them to bring a whole lot of things together. And in many ways, that story has never changed. That for us as human beings to progress, one, we need to constantly review and supplement our tools. Do we have the tools to deal with the challenges before us? So to come up with the tools that will make life a little bit better for us requires that we put our minds together. But specifically put our minds together in practice. If we sat in our rooms, in our libraries, and we all dreamt about how the world would be such a nice place, but did nothing about it except dream, we would still be dreaming. So they got together, brought together ideas, brought together resources, And in business, that's what we would call, multiplication of synergies, isn't it? That the one thing that you need to get business moving as powerfully as it can is to multiply synergies. And what design thinking does in many ways is that it short circuits all those processes and brings them into one room. That we're able to multiply our synergies from just basis of ideas. Because it brings, as we just told a few minutes ago, that there's an intercultural perspective that is always a part of this process, but there's also an interdisciplinary element to this. As we sit here, we are computer science people, we are business people, hopefully there's an old lawyer in the middle, and maybe there's even an enterprising preacher in the middle here. That's the kind of thing that a process like this allows for. That we begin to see things differently. Sometimes when we do strategy, one of the things that we talk about quite a bit is this idea that all of us, because we are individually created and we are individually gifted, there's a sense in which when we are in situations, we always have our own sense of reality that resonates with the way we think, with the way we believe, and the way we've been brought up, and maybe the experiences that we've had. And that's what people often refer to as a mental reality. That's how you see the world, that's how you interpret the world, and so on. And all of us have our own mental models about a whole lot of things. If I said what is good about our country, I probably would get, 30 different answers. And for you, that's your reality of what is good about our country. If I said what is terrible about our country, I could probably get 201 responses. Because that's your reality, that's your, But how do we then work together as people with different mental realities? Something like design thinking begins to allow us a process where we share our mental models about what we think the world should be. And what we've found is that when we interact as human beings in that way, when we out our mental models, as it were, others begin to learn from the wisdom that might be embedded or hidden in our mental models. And it is as we see the wisdom of these other mental models that we begin to create maybe a shared mental model, which is usually far much more powerful than what we would have done if we just use our own mental model that we had. So this week is a week as much about, for me, giving out ideas, but it's also about listening. I was surprised that creative thinkers are people who listen a lot. Of course, they talk, but they listen a lot. Because ideas come sometimes from the sounds around us. And if you can't hear the sounds around us, let alone the voices around us, you may be missing a lot in terms of your creativity as a human being. So as you gather here today, all these things are before you. And you have the opportunity not just to do this as another weekly exercise that we do at ANU once a year. Who knows? Today we fly from continent to continent in a matter of hours. Remember how it all started. Two naughty boys who had nothing to do, thinking human being can fly. tie bed sheets on their wings, but one day the idea to fly came about. So never despise moments when people meet for creativity. These could be critical moments that we look back 10, 20 years and say, you know, it started that day. I was there. I was part of that idea that is changing the world. So ideas can change the world. Or what we do with ideas can change the world. Now, I told you about the pioneers in the old Wide West. See, the unfortunate thing that the pioneers had, and for those of you who are interested in ideas, those in that sense, you may be interested to follow some work done by a gentleman called Joel Baker. I'm not sure it's in print and video form. I know it's in video form. Paradigm pioneers, and talks about the importance of being able to set the margins for others. But there's something also that he talks about that is interesting in relation to the pioneers of the Midwest. That in those days, the pioneers would cross the mountains at great cost to themselves. And the pioneers would find these beautiful pastures beyond. But the pioneers were not very resourced people. They were people of ideas. And what they did not always manage very well is to find resourced people to back up their ideas. So what would happen is that they would cross the mountain, they would circle, and then the people with resources that Baker calls the Chancellors would then follow the trails of the pioneers. And he says just before they crossed the mountains, they would send messages and shout from the other side of the mountain, "Is it safe over there?" And the pioneers say, "Yeah, it's okay." Then the Chancellors come and buy off the pioneers. And the pioneers must start again to find other ventures, again without resources. But Joel Baker suggests that in the 21st century we can bring those two things together. That the real opportunity today, unlike in the days of the Wild West, the real opportunity today is for the paradigm pioneers, the ones who go in first. If you look at the tech industries that we have today, you go in first. And so he says in the 21st century, when the Chancellors are shouting from the other side of the mountain, "Is it safe over there?" the pioneers would be saying, "It's safe, but there's nothing for you." So you are on a journey that's taking us to somewhere. And what is really interesting this year is that already there is some sponsors that think this is something that they could be part of. So that you are not paradigm pioneers without resources, that you pioneer with resources. And it is my hope really that as we continue with this process, and indeed we'll try to be the honorable ones, that every year we'll try to do something to catalyze thinking, not just for our community here as a university, but if we can bring in and continue to bring in our broader community outsiders. That's what a university should be. It should be a place where ideas are given impetus. No idea is ever too small. No idea is ever too insignificant. And the university allows us to tease and test these things. And it even works better if we can bring those that are resourced to resource those ideas. And where we can, we'll try to do that ourselves so that we are the pioneers of the 21st century, not of the Old Wide West. So welcome to Impact Week this year. Let's impact someone, something. Let's have an idea that we'll talk about for the rest of the year coming out of this. I may not have all the time to be here with you, but believe me, it's something that does excite me when I sit with young people with new ideas. Somebody was reminding us this past week that many of us are now at an age where we require reverse mentoring. So if you're smart enough, I know I'm in the hands of good mentors. The problem though is that with some of us, we easily kick out our mentors if we don't like what they're doing. So if you come up with good ideas, you have all the time to open up my eyes. Have you seen how my eyes just open up when something is real smart? And I'm looking forward this week that there will be a sparkle somewhere in the things that we do. Thank you very much, and I wish you well in your deliberations, and let's go change somebody.
Thank you for the inspiring message, and I believe all of us have understood that, and I am more interested in one of the two boys who were trying to fly, and it led to an innovation. That should be probably the journey we are going to take. And Vice Chancellor, you're welcome. Any other time you can pass by. Believe me, these walls are looking clean, but in the next few minutes' time, there will be very good environments to show the progress that will be in the room. And if you have time on Friday at around 12 noon, you can pass by to see as the teams pitch their ideas, just to see what comes out. I need to mention one thing that I learned from when Lufthansa